What up, Casanova? Today, I want to talk about something philosophical. Or maybe it's not that philosophical. I just want to talk about the idea that when we start out on this pickup journey, we experience this scarcity with women. And as we move along and get better and better, we experience a scarcity of connection. Initially, you can't get any girls. You lack the confidence, you lack the validation, you lack the experience, the skill set, a lot of the masculine qualities. And obviously everyone that comes to this is different, has their own set of strengths and weaknesses and demons to conquer. We want to have a whole range of experiences with different kinds of women, to be introduced to different kinds of worlds, hipster girls, professional girls, hot bitchy girls, and to feel like what it might be like to live out this movie.
What up, Casanova? Before we continue, I just wanted to let you know that I'm working on an exciting new product that's going to drop in the next couple of months that's going to teach you everything you need to know about approaching. So if you want to be the first to get notified and stay in the loop about any launch specials, then join the VIP list and sign up in the link in the description below. All right, now let's get back into it.
As you get better and better at this, you start to experience a scarcity of emotions, or scarcity of connection, where it's harder and harder to find girls that you really connect with, because you've seen it all, you've done it all, you've met every possible type of girl, you've had every possible type of reference experience, you've been validated, and then once you get better, you realize, well, I don't really care about any of that stuff. I'm still attracted to hot girls, obviously, but I don't care for the validation. I don't care. I've already given myself permission to be that guy, to be that cool, attractive guy. And I've not only given myself permission, but now others around me have given me permission too. And I have proof, countless proof from all these women that I've been with that I can be that guy, right? That I can be attractive and seductive and charming and funny and the kind of guy that girls can really fall in love with. Not only be attracted, but can really fall in love with. And at that point, your time is also more precious. You have, as a result, higher standards. You're very particular. So you're also so much more detached from the outcome. It's not like you completely don't care, but you don't really care where some of these interactions go, because if in your mind, deep down that you're only gonna fall for a certain type of girl or connect with a certain type of girl, well, you just don't have the patience to deal with girls that are not necessarily at the level that you want them to be. And yeah, sometimes you can be motivated purely by sex, by enjoying the physical charms. That doesn't mean that you're gonna put in any more work than you think is necessary, because again, your time is so precious. You wouldn't go through certain experiences that you would have gone through before in the past because you've done it. And it was cool back then, but now you're like, am I gonna, have this 5 a.m. pull where I deal with a group of girls, a bunch of loud, obnoxious girls at 3 a.m. after a night out at the bar just so I can get laid? Nah, you're not. You have now integrated this into your life. You're not immersing yourself anymore. I mean, in my case, it's a little different because it's work, so in some sense I am. And then at some point you're like, I don't need any of that. I just want to find a girl that I can really connect with. As you become better and better as well, you also become increasingly more genuine and have little patience for facades or bullshit. You're also a lot better at getting girls, people in general, to drop their facades. You can be vulnerable with them. You can almost expedite that connection. Sometimes it could be like a matter of a couple of dates and you're like, wow, man, we've clicked. And you get really good at picking up on this thing. Like, do I fuck with this girl? There's a cap on how much time you're willing to invest into an interaction at every stage of your journey. Maybe initially you might invest, 3 dates for a certain kind of quality of girl, and maybe that'll turn into only 1 day or 1 date a few years down the road for the same quality of girl, and maybe it'll be 2 days for a higher tier girl. So those thresholds are always evolving. Before, when I was getting good at this, I had anxiety around how I would come across on these dates. Was I cool enough? Was I interesting enough? Etc. Now, if I go on a date with a girl, I have a different kind of anxiety. Am I going to have to bear this girl's present? Assuming she's hot enough until sex. And sometimes it's just not even worth it. The sex is just not even worth it, which is why sometimes there's not even that much motivation to go on certain dates if there's a gamble that you're not really going to connect with the girl and have a good time, right? It's like, it's just not, the sex is just not enough. But it used to be the case. Once you've savored a really good connection with a woman, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. And the sex is infinitely better once you have a really strong connection with the girl. It becomes like a drug. And I mean, sure, you could have, things like threesomes as an extension of that connection. You don't necessarily need to be like super monogamous in that sense. It gets increasingly harder to fall in love because your standards become so high and you have a better sense of what you like, what you don't like, whom you connect with. All the girls that you will have met on your journey, that you will have experienced, will all bring their own little piece of the puzzle to shape this, I guess, representation of what kind of person you really want. I think infatuation is a lot more common at the beginning of your journey because you're a lot more susceptible to fall for a girl for the wrong reasons. You may have had certain relationships simply because the girls that you were with presented this novel set of qualities that you may not have experienced before, that were so exciting and so fresh and so seductive. So as a result, you maybe neglected other things about their personality that you now wouldn't, right? So you go through these stages to experience all these women. You generally become increasingly more and more abundant, increasingly freer. That headspace that you experience at this new higher level is essentially an accumulation of all the reference experiences, skill sets, mind shifts, wisdom that you have gathered over the years, over the journey. So the question is, am I necessarily better off if it's hard to meet a girl that I can really connect with? And let's say like I wanted to make it a priority. Am I necessarily better off then than I was when I was struggling to find girls in general? As we increase the quality of problems that we have, does that mean we're actually better off? Or are we relatively the same? Because at this point, you almost take it for granted. And it's good sometimes to take perspective and realize, oh shit, this is the journey that I've been on. This is what I've overcome. So imagine if I told you that you can be instantly good, right? I can just fast forward 5-10 years and you can be really good at game. Well, that means essentially that you've already done a lot of the things that you would have done along the way, along the journey. How do you imagine yourself to be that person without that accumulation of experiences and that wisdom? It's almost like, well, then you'd have what? An inherent set of knowledge? Like you're this natural who has or hasn't experienced other things in the past. It really reinforces the idea that we really should savor the journey. Because if you just fast forward to the point where you've gotten really good, you're not going to want to have those same reference experiences now or then that you did before. So I guess the idea is that while we're not arguably necessarily better off as we reach these new plateaus, as we develop these new quality problems in search of something always greater, more fulfilling, it's still worthwhile to continue in a philosophical sense because we set new goals. We embark on new journeys. All right, guys, I hope you got some takeaways from this. This was a chill little philosophical / quasi-introspective chat that I just wanted to record. Hope you got some value out of it. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, hit that notifications bell so you can get notified when we put out another interesting video. And leave any comments in the comments below. Share your thoughts, your questions, your philosophical ideas. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.